Go now to breaking news. We take you live to a pursuit right here on the freeway, the 14. This is in the Canyon Country area. And you can see that the police are right there on this, and we believe it's a stolen vehicle.
Yes, we are getting confirmation it is a stolen vehicle pursuit. Speeds in the 70s right now. We're calling this a high-speed pursuit. There are the flashing lights behind. Traffic at this hour seems to be very light. This is southbound the 14 in Canyon Country. Christine mentioned that earlier. It looks like a truck, as we're now getting a better view of it. Beyond that, details are just starting to come in, so we'll work to get you some more details. But Christine, when we talk about, time of day, we talk about traffic flow, we talk about strategies to bring this to an end. You think of spike strips could be an option since it's very few cars on the road right now. And then also a pit maneuver if those speeds dip below a certain miles per hour.
Yeah, so here we are on the freeway. Looks pretty wide open at this hour. Again, a stolen vehicle. Not sure from where it was stolen or from whom. Do police have any leads on this driver? Any insight on this driver? The speeds, though, Marla, for a wide open freeway are pretty low here, 52 miles per hour. This person obviously could get off on various exits here along the freeway, choosing not to. That is a big vehicle. Not sure how much gas is in that vehicle.
Yeah, and it looks like a blinker's on, so maybe that's an indication that they will take one of those exits. That would be very polite of them to be using the blinker at this point in time, but we'll see. And if it is a CHP pursuit at this point, which wouldn't surprise me now that we're on a freeway. Oh, you can see the front end sparks. Yeah, our executive producer Haley pointing that out. Look at that tire. There's no longer a tire. It's just right on the rim. So maybe spike strips were already used.
So I do travel that route quite a bit. I have a friend who lives in that area. I can tell you if this driver does exit, at some point there are homes in the area, there are apartments, and there are businesses should this driver choose to exit. Let's go to Tim Lynn, our police expert, who's following this one for us. Tim, what do you make of that, tire or no tire?
Yeah, he lost that tire a good ways back up by Soledad Canyon and has been driving in excess of 100 miles an hour on that rim. You see it sparking there, and that's going to eventually grind its way down to where it starts going on the brake rotor, and he's really going to have a hard time controlling it. But it has been going from the Antelope Valley. The LA County Sheriff started this pursuit and then handed it off to the CHP as it continues south here on the 14. As you said, it's a stolen vehicle. And like I said, the speeds at one point were up to 110, 120 miles an hour, but you see now going much slower with that tire. I'm sure controllability of that vehicle is pretty tough right now as he comes down the hill here, working his way towards the Newhall Pass. But CHP doing what they do, they get their two patrol units there, a sergeant along with the air unit from LA County Sheriff's, and they'll stay with it till it gets to the point where it stops or they're able to do a pit maneuver on. But right now they're just wide open out here on the 14, not much cross traffic or traffic at all. But as you said, Christine, once he gets off the freeway, it completely changes the dynamic of this pursuit.
Tim, do you have any idea, was it was it a spike strip that caused the tire to blow?
Well, when Skyfox came overhead, that tire was already off, and I was listening to the pursuit and did not hear anything about a spike being deployed. So it could have been from a curb damage, or it could have been from an earlier spike before we went on scene. But luckily they got one wheel off it, because at the speed he was running to be able to come down the 14, join up with that 5 and get into the heavier traveled freeway, it would have been very dangerous. But luckily now with that tire missing, it's going to hold his speeds down below the 100 mark, and right now still going along at 50 to 60 miles an hour.
So going this route here, the driver's going to have some options fairly soon here. The 5 freeway, I believe, can go either southbound or northbound. There are the surface streets, of course, to go into the Valencia area, etc. I'm looking at these speeds here. Whole different pursuit that you witnessed earlier, Tim, with those 100+ mile per hour speeds there. Right here we're at 50, which doesn't seem overly dangerous, but you say it's because of the damage to the car.
That's correct, because yeah, with that front wheel missing, the steerability of the car, the maneuverability of the car is taken away, and more than likely he was up at high speeds with that wheel coming off. Probably had a little bit of a thing in the steering wheel where he didn't feel comfortable with it. Now he's back at a speed to where it feels comfortable to him that he can control the direction of that vehicle with that right tire that's still on it and still be able to continue on. And we always go on these pursuits and watch them, and there's really, he can't get away from the units behind him. His car is partially disabled. How is this driver going to think of getting away? But these pursuit suspects, they push it till the very end, till they can go no more, and still hope they're going to get away. So I mean, it's just the mindset of the people who are fleeing, and they're going to flee as long as they can until their vehicle gives up. But you see it starting to slow down just a little bit. Now we're coming up into that interchange, the Newhall Pass, and as you're saying, Christine, this is where the 14 hits the 5, and you'd either go north or south, and then if it continues to the south, then you have a 210 also at that point. So a very congested area. You see all that traffic going to the north. Most of the traffic to the south is held back by the CHP. The units behind doing exactly what they do. 2 patrol units, 1 supervisor. And as they come down, now this is the Newhall group that's following this pursuit, and as soon as they come over the hill here and cross over probably the 118, they'll hand it off to Valley Division or Valley office of CHP and let it go. But just looking at the way the vehicle is going and running slower and slower as we go, I don't believe this is going to go much longer. And get a good shot here at the right side, trying to see if there's still rubber on that right front tire, but it doesn't look, I don't see any spark or any smoke coming off it. So the only one missing is that left front.
Well, we are getting word that it was, in fact, a spike strip deployed by law enforcement that caused the damage to that front left tire. Tim, when we talk about strategy to bring this to an end, is it sort of just waiting it out at this point? Because as you mentioned, as we've seen more sparks fly, it's only a matter of time until the vehicle really is done. Right.
The time is on their CHP side right now. They're not dealing with a high-speed vehicle. They're not dealing with a lot of traffic. You see sparks starting to come out of there more and more. As that rim grinds down, it will eventually come off the hub, and then the what they call the rotor, the disc part of the brake, then will hit the ground. You'll see a lot more sparks at that point. And it gets to a point where it grinds that down, and now the frame is on the ground. And it gets to the point where this vehicle is just not able to go straight and be controlled. And usually that's when they just pull over and give up. But this driver is really pushing this car as hard as he can, even with that wheel missing. But you know, in the past, you know, we've seen him go quite a distance with you know, both front tires missing. And it's just willpower of that driver, and also the size of this vehicle has a lot of power. It's a big dually in the back to where it's got a lot of torque onto the ground and is able to push that car even though there's no rubber on the ground up front. But with one wheel missing, he still has a steerable wheel on the right side. So this could go for quite a bit. Now, CHP could very well put out more spike strip to try to take out the rest of his tires. And up in this area, is you know, with the traffic pulled off like this, there are some safe areas that CHP can use to be able to get those spikes out and even do it on the freeway. The speed really doesn't matter on spike strips. They can get them at pretty much any speed. It's just keeping sure that the units chase them know when it's going to happen so they can back off and not get hit by the spikes as well. And when the spike strips deploy and they go into the tire, they just don't cause the tire to explode or immediately just deflate. It's small tubes. Those tubes let the air out gently and lower it down, and then it starts rubbing on the rim, and then the tire will start coming apart later on. But it's not a very explosive type operation when those spike strips hit the tires. So they'll, you know, if they get a chance here, I'm sure you'll see that happen here. They're going to try to take out the other tires, but you know, running here at down 35 miles an hour as we continue on the 5 freeway here, you know, he's not showing any signs of giving up. And so CHP has that option of the spike strips, or if he starts getting a little more down in speeds, you know, to where the tires really rubbing hard. He's having a hard time controlling it, and he gets down to the proper speeds, then a pit maneuver might be called in. But right now, they're just going to stick with it. There's no reason to be too aggressive on this because the car is not going to get away, and there's nobody in danger around this driver right now.
Tim, as we look at these speeds here, I'm thinking about the stability of the vehicle. That is a big truck with big tires, and to be on the rim on one of them, I'm surprised that the stability is as it is at even these speeds.
Right. Well, you got a very large tire up on that right front, so that's doing all the work right now. And like you said, the drive on this is a very high-powered vehicle and is able to push that rim along. And you can see he's picking up a pretty good speed now, joining with traffic coming onto the 5 with him. Now, the CHP is going to have to take that into consideration here to try to back that traffic off and try to start slowing down traffic getting on the freeway, which the other agencies will do as they hear it coming south. Will start blocking on ramps and things of that sort. But this driver doing a pretty good job of keeping it in a lane with that one tire missing. But once it gets lowered, you start seeing a whole bunch of sparks coming off it. The maneuverability will start going away as well. And so hopefully at that point, the driver will, eventually feel that he's not going to be able to get away and the car is not drivable, and then pull over and stop. So hopefully that will happen on this. But right now, just a matter of time, and the CHP is not in any hurry to do anything really aggressive to get up there and stop the car.
Yeah, and now if we look at our extreme nav technology, you can see the location. We're 5 southbound in Sylmar. And Tim, we often talk about how aggressive CHP is. People watching from home might ask the question of, why not just do something more aggressive at this point and just put this to an end already? Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's as you watch what's going on, and it's the supervisor in the pursuit that's watching the demeanor of the driver of what's going on here, makes that decision to order the 2 officers in front to do a pit maneuver. Also, you have watch commanders in the stations that are communicating and trying to get units ahead to put out spike strips in certain areas. They have certain areas on the freeway where they can put them out and have safety for the officer who is deploying that on the freeway, because there is a lot of times when an officer on a highway is throwing out a spike strip that the driver will go after the officer, and several of them have been hit over time. So they have taken that in consideration to where they don't want to put themselves in harm's way by trying to get out there and get that spike strip out. So they'll watch it here, and just me with my law enforcement background, I'm watching it. It's not really out of control to the point to where something needs to be immediately done. Now, if he's, ramming people on the road, we've seen that to where they'll get beside somebody and start pushing them off the road or weaving around, and it's a point where they're going to hit somebody very hard the way they're driving, then yeah, you have to be a little more aggressive. But in a situation like this, sometimes it's always easier just to wait for that vehicle to fail, and they can follow this vehicle for a very long time because they can hand it off to the different offices as they go down the 5 freeways. I mentioned the Newhall office was chasing it. Now as they come up south on the 5 freeway here, they're going to get down into the Valley Division or Valley office, and the Valley officers will take over at that point. And whichever way it goes, down the 170, down the 405, continues on the 5, then that office will take over, and they could continue and leapfrog like that. And if he stays at this, he's at 40 miles an hour now. You see the speeds are slowly coming down, and so the resistance on that left front is getting more, and he's having to, accelerate more to keep it going. But I'm surprised we're not seeing more sparks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's pushing along here. Now he's making that transition to the 405, which will take him down through Van Nuys. And so now I bet once he gets down through Van Nuys and starts going through the Sepulveda Pass, he's going to slow way down, making that climb coming up from the 101 freeway as you work your way south.
We're getting a make and model, a Sierra GMC truck, and we were wondering if those are paper plates, which would indicate this was a relatively new vehicle. It's hard to see from this vantage point, but nonetheless, a Sierra GMC stolen Now we're on the 405 southbound Mission Hills. We've been watching this for some time now. Spike strips responsible as we zoom in, and you can see the tire is gone on the driver's side, front driver's side. It is completely gone. You make a great point, Tim. We did see some sparks, quite a few of them earlier, but we haven't seen some in a while. This is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That rim is really hanging in there. It's been gone for quite a while. The rubber has been gone for quite a while. The rim is kind of holding its own there. And it could be a balancing thing to where the size of the vehicle is also, the weight is holding it up off the ground because of that balance. But when he bounces like that and he goes over a bump, it makes contact with the ground. So it could be very possible that it's running kind of a three-legged race here where one tire's area is staying up off the ground just by the design of the vehicle and the weight of that vehicle holding that left front off the ground. But as you see, when he hits a bump, it drops down and touches the ground. So that's working in that driver's favor right now. But, you know, eventually it's going to come to a point where that starts coming apart. But I'm trying to watch here as they zoom in to see if that rim is actually turning. But I really can't tell at this point. But you see the spark starting to come out of there now as he's bouncing along.
You really see the sparks now, and good visual there of that rim. If I'm the owner of that vehicle, boy, painful to watch my vehicle go down the road here. Stolen vehicle pursuit here. Tim, as we're now on the 405 freeway, we've gone from the Newhall area and that Santa Clarita area, give or take. We're going to be in a more populated area. Viewers might be looking at this and thinking, why do they not bring this more to a close, more to a stop, even though we do know they did deploy spike strip to get to this point?
Well, it's just a matter of weighing out the risk versus the reward on trying to pit this vehicle. He's back up to 70 miles an hour now. You can't do a pit at this juncture. The freeway down here is pretty wide, and along the southbound 405 freeway through Van Nuys area here as we come through Nordhoff, there's not a lot of places to hide just from my memory of that part of the freeway. But as we get a little further north and come up to that Sepulveda Pass, which is that large hill that you have to climb to get over into Santa Monica, if you continue south on that, that car may slow down trying to go up that hill, because, you know, the speed right now, he was at 100 plus earlier, and now we're down slower. Maybe he'll slow down enough to where a pit maneuver can happen, and hopefully there's a place along the way here, which I don't have them all memorized, to where they have a choke point to where the CHP can actually deploy that spike strip, so to get the other tires down. So if they get those other tires down, it will bring it to an end. But as that supervisor in this pursuit, your job now is to keep your officer safe and to keep the motoring public safe around him, around the driver. And also, you have to keep the driver of the car in mind, too. There's a big piece that just come off.
Yeah, saw that come off there.
You have to keep all that in mind and weigh the options and what is the risk versus the reward of going up and being aggressive, trying to pit him, trying to throw spike strips out with police cars parked in a way to force him to go a certain way. Now you're looking at putting officers in harm's way. Don't want to do that. So
look at that. Whoa.
There you go. Yep.
So is there a risk of fire there?
Eventually there could be, because the friction and the burning underneath there can easily catch the undercarriage of the car on fire. But being a new car, hopefully there won't be a lot of oil and grease on the bottom of that.
We're exiting here,
It looks
Tim.
like he's exiting here.
Yeah.
Yes, exiting Panorama.
Yeah, so, and this is where we'll often see brush fires on these off-ramps as well. So you see those sparks flying, and that could easily ignite a brush fire. Let's hope not.
Bailey, open. All right, so we have, they're actually giving up. All right, well, there you go. That's how that pursuit's coming to an end. Again, Tim, we don't know if there's somebody else in that vehicle, but that driver right there completely complying with police, hands up and out of that vehicle.
So now, Tim, talk about the next steps now that this driver has gotten off the 405, Roscoe Boulevard in Santa Monica and North Hills, and says, I'm giving up. What's next?
Okay, now the units behind will set up a position with their units and start calling that driver back, as you're seeing now. They'll start walking him back away from the vehicle to getting back to the units to give the officers cover and concealment, and an arrest team will take custody of this person and make sure that he's not armed, do the pat down, then put handcuffs on him. And you see there a canine off to the left watching for anybody else that pops out of that car. And then once they get him handcuffed and secured, they will, anybody else in the car, is there anybody else in there? And then they make announcements as if somebody is in there, if they're not sure, trying to get the persons to come out. And then the air unit at this point is getting very low and is starting to orbit low using the infrared and also the camera to look into the car to see if they can see anybody inside. So they'll do their best from the helicopter to look in, and then you'll get a team coming up that will go up and search that vehicle and they'll go check inside to make sure there's nobody there. And once they get up and determine that there's nobody there, they'll give that sign of code 4 back to the officers behind them, but they need to check the bed of that car as well. So, or that truck. Hopefully, they'll get there, check the bed.
But
Yep.
Tim, we think we've got an end to this pursuit here, and that the suspect is in custody. We're going to wrap things up, and thank you for your great coverage as always. This is how you want it to end: suspect in custody,
Absolutely.
nobody hurt, officers go home to their families.